Most people think feeling rich requires a six-figure salary and a massive inheritance. But what if I told you that someone earning $50,000 a year could actually feel more financially free than a doctor making $200,000? Today, I'm showing you the rich life framework that doesn't require a raise or cutting out your daily coffee. My name is Ely, and I spend way too much time thinking about how people in the US experience money psychologically. If you're someone who earns a normal income, maybe even more than you used to, but still doesn't feel financially secure, hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. This channel isn't about getting rich fast or picking the next hot stock. It's about the quieter, weirder stuff. Why the money stress doesn't go away even when the number on your paycheck goes up, and what you can actually do about it without blowing up your entire life. Picture this. It's a Tuesday night, and you're lying in bed doing math in your head instead of sleeping. Rent went up $200 this year. Your car payment is $480 a month because the affordable option somehow became a loan that stretches 72 months. Groceries that used to cost you $80 now cost $130 for the same bag of stuff. And here's the part that really gets under your skin. You just got a raise for $1,000 more a year than you made 12 months ago. And somehow, you feel exactly the same amount of broke. Maybe more. If that scenario made your stomach tighten a little, you're not alone, and you're definitely not doing anything wrong. That feeling has a name, and understanding it is going to change how you think about every dollar you earn from here on out. Here's the thing. We've been sold a very specific story about money, and it goes something like this. Earn more, and your stress goes away. Get the raise, and you'll finally relax. Hit a certain income, and the anxiety disappears. It sounds logical. It's also mostly wrong, and there's actual data behind why. Researchers have spent years studying the relationship between income and emotional well-being, and one of the most cited findings, originally out of Princeton and revisited multiple times since, is that day-to-day emotional well-being tends to improve with income only up to a certain point, and then it flattens out. More recent research pushed that number higher, into the low six figures for some groups, but the core insight hasn't changed. More money helps, but only up to a threshold, and past that threshold, something else takes over. How you feel about your money matters more than how much of it you have. Now you might be thinking, sure, but I'm not even close to that threshold, so obviously more money would help me. And you're right, to a point. If you're choosing between paying the electric bill and buying groceries, more income absolutely changes your life. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that money doesn't matter when you're struggling to cover basics. That would be insulting and untrue. But here's what most people don't realize. A huge percentage of the financial stress in this country isn't coming from people who can't cover basics. It's coming from people earning $50, $70, even $100,000 a year who still feel like they're one emergency away from disaster. According to the Federal Reserve's own report on the economic well-being of U.S. households, a significant share of adults, historically hovering around 1 in 3, say they couldn't cover a $400 emergency expense using cash or its equivalent. Now, some of those people are genuinely low income, but plenty of them are middle income, even upper middle income earners, who have simply built a life that absorbs every dollar they make the moment it lands in their account. That's not an income problem. That's a structural and psychological one. This is where it gets interesting. There's a concept in behavioral economics called lifestyle inflation, but I want to reframe it for you, because the textbook version makes it sound like a math error, like you just spent too much on stuff. The real version is more emotional than that. Every time your income goes up, your brain quietly recalibrates what normal looks like. The apartment that felt spacious at $40,000 a year suddenly feels cramped at $60,000. The car that felt fine feels embarrassing next to your coworker's SUV. The vacation that used to be a splurge now feels like the baseline expectation. Your brain isn't doing this because you're weak or bad with money. It's doing it because humans are wired to compare, and comparison resets your baseline for enough, almost instantly. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation, the tendency for people to quickly return to a stable level of happiness regardless of what happens to them, positive or negative. Win the lottery, and your happiness spikes, and then settles back down. Get a raise, and the same thing happens, usually within a few months. Your new income becomes your new normal, and the goalposts move again. If you don't understand this mechanism, you will spend your entire life chasing a finish line that keeps sliding forward, and you will genuinely believe that the problem is your salary, when the actual problem is that your expectations are rising exactly as fast as your income. Let's put real numbers on this, because I don't want this to stay abstract. Say you're making $50,000 a year. Rent takes $1,500 a month, so $18,000 a year. That already puts you at roughly 43% of your income on housing alone, well above the 30% guideline that's been standard advice for decades. And that's not a personal failure. That's the actual state of the rental market in most U.S. cities right now, according to Harvard's Joint Center for Housing Studies, where a majority of renters are considered cost-burdened. Add a car payment of $350, insurance, gas, groceries running $600 a month for one person because grocery prices are up significantly from a few years ago per Bureau of Labor Statistics data, and you're already tight before you've spent a single dollar on anything fun. Now take someone making $200,000 a year, because I promised you the doctor example. That sounds like an entirely different universe. But if that person bought a house at the top of their budget because their income allowed for it, if they're carrying 2 car payments because a doctor should drive something nice, if their kids are in private school because that's what people at their income level do, if they're paying off $300,000 in student loans, their monthly obligations can easily eat 60, 70, even 80% of that higher income. They are, in a very real sense, one hospital system layoff or one bad year away from serious financial strain, despite an income that most Americans would consider enormous. Meanwhile, the person making $50,000, if they've built their life with intention instead of comparison, might have 3 months of expenses saved, no debt beyond a modest car payment, and an actual sense of control over their money. That person, statistically poorer, is functionally richer because richness, in the way that actually matters to your nervous system, isn't about income. It's about the gap between what you earn and what you're obligated to spend, and how much control you feel over that gap. Here's what most people don't realize about financial stress specifically. It's not really about money. It's about uncertainty and lack of control. The American Psychological Association has tracked money as the top or near top source of stress for Americans nearly every year they've run their Stress in America survey. And it's not just lower income people reporting this. People at every income bracket report significant stress, because stress isn't triggered by a specific dollar amount. It's triggered by feeling like you don't have a buffer, like one unexpected bill could knock everything over, like you're constantly reacting instead of planning. That feeling exists at $50,000 a year, and it exists at $200,000 a year if the structure underneath the income is fragile. Think of your finances like a bridge. The income is the amount of traffic the bridge can technically hold. But the psychological experience of financial security comes from the structural integrity underneath, the beams, the foundation, the maintenance. A wide, heavily trafficked bridge with weak support beams is more dangerous than a narrow bridge that's been engineered properly. Income is traffic. Your buffer, your fixed obligations, your savings rate, that's the structure. Most people spend their whole financial lives trying to widen the bridge, meaning chase a bigger income, without ever reinforcing the beams underneath it. And then they're shocked when the bridge feels unstable even after it gets wider. So here's where this turns from psychology into something you can actually use. The goal isn't to earn less, obviously, and it's not to deprive yourself into some extreme minimalist lifestyle either, because that almost never sticks, and it usually creates its own kind of resentment and burnout. The goal is to interrupt the automatic recalibration your brain does every time your income changes, and replace it with something intentional. The first move is what I call the freeze window. Every time your income increases, a raise, a bonus, a new job, freeze your lifestyle spending for 60 to 90 days before you let yourself upgrade anything. Don't move to a bigger apartment. Don't get the nicer car. Don't change your grocery habits. Just let the extra money sit in a savings account or go straight to debt for 2 or 3 months. This does 2 things. It gives your baseline expectations time to catch up slowly instead of jumping instantly. And it builds actual proof, not theoretical proof, that you can live comfortably below your new income. That proof becomes your new floor. The second move is naming your buffer number, not your dream number. Most people fixate on some far-off goal, $1 million, financial independence, retiring early. Those are fine long-term targets, but they don't do anything for your stress today. What actually reduces day-to-day anxiety? According to research on financial security and the Fed's own findings on emergency savings, is having a specific, tangible buffer. Even 1 month of expenses saved consistently reduces reported financial stress significantly compared to having none. Figure out your actual number, not a round guess, but your real monthly expenses, and make that specific figure your first target. Watching that number grow does more for your nervous system than any amount of income growth, because it directly targets the uncertainty that's causing the stress in the first place. The third move is auditing your comparisons, because this is the quiet saboteur in almost everyone's financial life. Ask yourself honestly where your spending decisions are actually coming from. Is the car because you need reliable transportation, or because you don't want to feel behind your coworkers? Is the apartment because you need the space, or because it signals something about where you think you should be at this point in your life? You don't have to change these decisions immediately, but naming them accurately takes away a huge amount of their power. Most financial decisions that keep people stuck aren't made consciously. They're made on autopilot, powered by comparison, and comparison is nearly impossible to satisfy because there's always someone spending more than you. Now, you might be thinking, this all sounds nice, but bills are bills, and the cost of living is genuinely higher than it used to be, and that's completely fair. I'm not telling you that mindset alone pays your rent. What I am telling you is that two people with identical incomes can have wildly different levels of financial stress, and the difference usually isn't math. It's the structure and expectations sitting underneath that math. You cannot always control your income in the short term. You can control the beams under your bridge. Here's the honest, slightly uncomfortable truth this video is really about. Feeling rich was never actually about the number on your paycheck. It's about the size of the gap between what comes in and what you're obligated to send back out, and how much say you have over that gap. A person making $50,000 with a 1-month buffer, no consumer debt, and spending decisions that reflect their actual values instead of their coworkers' choices will feel calmer, steadier, and yes, richer than someone earning 4 times as much who's white-knuckling every payment cycle. So if you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Stop trying to outrun the stress with a bigger income, because the finish line will keep moving exactly as fast as you do. Instead, slow down the recalibration, build the buffer that actually targets your uncertainty, and get honest about which of your expenses are needs and which are just comparisons wearing a disguise. That's not a flashy strategy. It won't make you rich overnight, but it's the version of financial security that actually holds up under pressure, and honestly, that's worth a lot more than a bigger number on a screen.